Catherine and I got married back in our hometown. A small reception at the local hall, and that was that. We raised our kids, lived most of our lives, and didn't have a single decent picture of the two of us in the whole house. One day, I said to her, "You know, everyone gets these professional photos done now. Why don't we get some wedding pictures taken?" She didn't even look up from behind her glasses. "We're an old married couple, Frank. What'll we do that for? It's embarrassing." But the very next day, tucked away in one of her treasured old books, I found a wedding photo. One I knew the man in the picture, Arthur Vance. He was her classmate from college. Her one that got away. He stood beside Catherine, the two of them leaning into each other, their smiles sweet and genuine. The date on the back was November 1986. For a photo from the 80s, it was in perfect condition. The bride's makeup was thick, theatrical. The groom wore a black tux, also with makeup on. They looked like a picture-perfect couple. But by then, Catherine and I had been married for years. Our oldest, Kevin, was already 6. In that instant, I finally understood. It wasn't that she was embarrassed. It was that she'd already done it. She could never take wedding photos with me. In her heart, Arthur was her husband. And me? I was just the old man she was stuck with. She was an engineer, brought back on as a consultant at the plant after she retired. She was always so rational, so coolly detached, never cracking a smile. But Arthur was the exception. My hands trembled as I stared at the books scattered on the floor. I felt dizzy. Just then, Catherine came home. She saw me standing frozen in the study and was about to speak when her eyes landed on the photograph in my hand. Panic flashed across her face. "Frank, what are you doing?" She lunged for it, snatching it away. She wiped it gently, like it was a priceless artifact, before finally looking up at me. "Who told you to come in here? Look at this mess. Just get out." She shoved me out of the room, so hard I stumbled into the doorframe. My knee slammed against the wood with a loud crack, the pain shooting up my leg. But Catherine just carefully slipped the photo back into its book and placed it on the highest shelf of the bookcase. Turning, she saw me still standing in the doorway. She cleared her throat. "You're so clumsy. Don't come into the study anymore." I rubbed my knee, a chill spreading through my chest. "Catherine, is he the reason? Is he why you won't take a picture with me?" That was decades ago. Why get worked up about it now? Maybe she saw the utter devastation in my eyes because she sighed. His wife had just left him for another man, laughing that no one would ever want him. He was furious, so he asked me to help him out, to take a picture with him, just to get back at his ex-wife. I was just doing a favor. I didn't think anything of it. "Frank, we've been married for 50 years. Our kids are grown and have their own families. You're really going to make a scene about this?" Her whole explanation was an accusation. We'd been together for half a century, and I couldn't remember a single time she had spoken to me with warmth. It was always criticism, always condescension, as if I were her subordinate, not her husband. I'd had enough. "Catherine, when you agreed to do that for him, did it ever once occur to you that I was the man you actually married?" "I can't do this anymore." I turned to leave. My knee throbbed, but I could bear it. What I couldn't bear was the way she treated me like I was nothing. Catherine hurried after me. "Frank, have you lost your mind? It's just a picture." "Fine, I'll go with you tomorrow, and we'll get one taken." This was about more than a picture. This was a deep, profound humiliation. I ignored her, packed a bag with my things, and walked out without a second thought. Right before I left, I looked at her. "Since you've never thought of me as your husband, maybe we should just go our separate ways." "Separate?" Catherine laughed as if I'd told a joke. "You've been a stay-at-home husband for 50 years, Frank. If you leave me, how exactly are you going to support yourself?" I froze. She was right. When we got married, her family and background were miles ahead of mine. I'd always felt I wasn't good enough, and I spent my whole life trying to better myself, too, but Catherine never saw any of it. She'd always say, "Frank, just take care of the house. You don't need to learn all that other stuff. It's a waste of your time." Over and over, she reminded me I wasn't worthy, but I wanted to stand beside her as an equal to show her that Frank Miller was capable, that I could achieve things on my own. I took a deep breath and walked out the door. Downstairs, the front gate opened, and our son and daughter, Kevin and Jessica, were just arriving. Seeing me with a suitcase, Kevin stopped in his tracks. "Dad, where are you going with that? Did you and Mom have a fight?" I nodded, seeing no point in lying. "We did." Catherine had followed me out. "Your father found that old photo, she announced, her tone dismissive. Now he's throwing a tantrum and running away from home. She made it sound so trivial. Everyone just sort of chuckled. Oh, is that all it was? I was stunned. They all knew. They had all known and kept it from me. In that moment, my heart turned to ice. It's not just about that, I said, my voice steady. I've worked my whole life. I think it's time for me to retire, too. But Dad, Kevin started, but I cut him off. No buts. My purpose in life wasn't to be a servant. I have my own things I want to do. You all just take care of your mother from now on. I pushed past them and walked away. Behind me, Catherine yelled, Don't you dare go after him. Let him go. I like to see how this family falls apart without him. I had a laugh at that, right? This family couldn't function without any of them, but it could certainly do without Frank Miller. Since they were all so capable, let them try. Let's see how well they manage without me. I dragged my suitcase to the curb, called an Uber, and went straight to a small condo I'd bought a year ago. Back then, my daughter Jessica and her husband, Mark, were fighting constantly. She'd come home every other day, crying about how Mark nitpicked everything she did and complained about giving her a few $100 for groceries. He'd accuse her of blowing through money too fast, even though she was the one asking for it. It broke my heart, and I'd say a few harsh words about him. But Catherine's response was always the same. Mark is the one working to support the family. Jessica does nothing but stay home. She shouldn't be spending so much. Her attitude chilled me to the bone. It made me wonder, what if one day Catherine decided to kick me out too? Where would I go? I had no family left. Looking at my daughter's tear-streaked face, I secretly gave her a few $1,000s, and then I bought this small condo. I just want a safety net, a place to land. I never thought I'd actually use it, but it was a good thing I did. I came by every few weeks to clean it. It was a loft-style unit with 2 rooms, plenty of sunlight, and a full kitchen. It was perfect for me. More importantly, when I'd set it up, I'd built myself a small workshop. The dreams I'd given up on in the first half of my life, I was going to pursue them here. Looking at the sun-drenched little space, my spirits lifted. I dropped my suitcase and sank onto the sofa. The light poured in through the windows, and I took a deep, long breath. It felt incredible. Soon enough, my phone rang. It was Kevin. Dad, what are you doing? It's just one photo. You've been with Mom for decades. You know what she's like. Arthur has his own life. He's not going to do anything with Mom. Hearing him say that, I couldn't help but laugh. Really? Kevin, would you ever take a wedding photo with another woman? Dad, what are you talking about? Stacy would kill me. Exactly. You wouldn't dare do it, but your mother did. And she hid from me for all these years. And you all knew. You helped her lie to me. Don't call me again. I hung up, wanted to block his number, but I hesitated. He was still my son. I'd raised him. And now he takes her side, calls me up to blame me. You never know how much a knife hurts until it's stuck in you. I didn't know what he was thinking, but there was no way in hell I was going back. I wanted to see who he would choose, me or his mother. If he chose wrong, I was done with him too. My daughter, Jessica, texted me. Dad, are you sure you want to blow things up with Mom like this? I took a breath and typed back. Remember when you came home after fighting with Mark? What did you tell me? You said you hated having to ask for money. I've lived that life for 50 years, Jess. I don't want to do it anymore. She didn't reply for a long time. Finally, a new message popped up. Dad, do whatever makes you happy. Yes, at my age, I deserve to be happy. How else could I make up for the unfairness of the last 50 years? Catherine took wedding photos with another man. It wasn't just a picture. It was a complete erasure of me. I had never mattered to her. If that was the case, I didn't need to care about her feelings either. I made myself some dinner, then sat down and opened a drawer. I pulled out a set of carving knives and a block of basswood. I'd loved woodworking ever since I was a kid. Back in my hometown, all the old-timers had skilled hands. My great-uncle was a renowned carver in our county. He's the one who taught me. I used to spend hours carving little figures out of scrap wood. When Kevin and Jessica were little, they loved watching me work. But Catherine would always stand there, saying, you could be reading the news, learning something useful, but instead you're wasting time on this stuff. It's a dead-end hobby. Then she'd pull the kids away to drill them on their homework. I didn't have much formal education, so I couldn't compete. But carving was an art, wasn't it? Why was it a waste of time? She didn't understand, and I never argued. But I still wanted to reclaim that dream. I wanted to show her that she wasn't the only one with ambitions. I carved a few intricate little birds. They were only for my own enjoyment, but it didn't feel like enough. Fiddling with my phone, I decided to post a video of my work on TikTok. No one knew me there, so it was just for fun. I never expected the reaction it got. Thousands of comments flooded in. "Sir, you have incredible talent. Those carvings are beautiful. You should do a tutorial. My grandpa used to whittle like this. After he passed, none of us knew how. This brings back so many memories. It's a lost art. Please do a tutorial. My eyes get it, my brain gets it, but my hands just don't. Can you start with something really simple?" Seeing thousands of people asking me to teach them, I felt a jolt of excitement. See, people valued what I could do. I immediately filmed the tutorial for a simple project and uploaded it. The response was amazing. Soon, people were sharing their own attempts with me. This feeling of being needed, it was wonderful. I was so absorbed that a week went by without a single thought of Catherine. Then, probably in an attempt to get a reaction out of me, I saw one of her TikToks on my feed. The old engineer who hadn't touched social media in decades had posted a photo. It was her and Arthur Vance. Kevin was with them, too. The three of them looked like a happy family. I tapped the like button and set my phone aside. A moment later, it rang. It was Catherine. "Are you done playing around? If you are, come home. And on your way, pick up ingredients for a pot roast. Arthur loves it." For an instant, all I felt was rage. I screamed into the phone, "Catherine, I want a divorce." There was a stunned silence on the other end, then a scoff. "A divorce? At our age? What are you trying to prove? Frank, quit while you're ahead. This has gone on long enough. If you don't come back, there won't be a place for you in this house anymore." "Fine by me. I'm serious. If we don't get a divorce, I don't know what I might do to Arthur Vance. The shameless homewrecker who takes wedding photos with another man's wife and then tries to take his place. Well, he can have it. You're being completely irrational." I had insulted her precious idol. Catherine was furious, about to yell at me. Click. I hung up and blocked her number. I couldn't believe it. There had to be some justice in the world. I blocked all of her social media accounts, too. I didn't want to pollute my eyes. Lately, she had been posting a stream of misleading photos, either of her and Arthur on outings or just pose shots of the two of them. Unsuspecting strangers online were fawning over them, calling them the perfect couple, which only fed Catherine's delusion that she and Arthur were soulmates. And me, the house husband, daring to file for divorce? How dare I turn the world upside down? At this point, I wasn't even angry. I just waited. My daughter, Jessica, called. "Dad, that Arthur guy is moving in on your territory. Aren't you worried? Are you really going to just hand over your home to someone else?" I took a deep breath and laughed. I spent 50 years building that home, and it never earned me a shred of respect from your mother. Why shouldn't I hand it over? Jessica was quiet for a moment. "You need to remember," I said, my voice firm, "that a person isn't just a parent or a child. First and foremost, you are yourself. I want to be myself, and even at nearly 70, it's not too late." After a long pause, she finally just said, "Dad, as long as you thought it through." I had. I never felt so clear-headed in my life. Catherine, however, was furious that I'd actually mentioned divorce. She demanded to meet. She brought Arthur with her. He was wearing a beige trench coat, leather shoes, and even a bit of makeup. He wasn't young, but he looked remarkably elegant. In contrast, I was just a regular old guy in a worn jacket, the wrinkles around my eyes deeper than his. Sitting next to each other, Catherine and Arthur really did look like they belonged together. Arthur smiled when he saw me. Catherine told me, "You're divorcing her because of that old wedding photo. Frank, there's really no need. That's ancient history. If she and I had wanted to be together, we would have done it decades ago. Why would we have let you run the household all these years? Relax. We're here today to talk you down. Don't let some misplaced pride make you throw away your marriage and become the town gossip. Think of your children." I looked at him and let out a cold laugh. "So I shouldn't divorce her? I should just keep cleaning the house so you two can play house together. How about I post that online and let people decide?" I had tens of thousands of followers now. I wasn't afraid. I could write a book about all the times Catherine had talked about this man over the years. How Arthur was so sophisticated, so adventurous, traveling all over the country. How she felt trapped at home. How looking at me felt like staring at a dead end. But I wanted to travel, too. I wanted to escape the prison of that house. Catherine was the one who trapped me there, and now she resented me for it. 5. My words made Arthur's face tighten. He knew the power of public opinion these days and didn't want to provoke me. After all, what did he know about me? For all he knew, I was just some old hick who could throw a fit and make a scene. If I did that, he had more to lose. Arthur shot an anxious glance at Catherine. Her face was a thundercloud. Frank, you really want to do this? Yes, I want a divorce. Catherine, it's not just about this. For decades, you've done nothing but put me down, trapping me in that house. I am done serving you. Catherine exploded with rage, her face turning purple. Just then, Kevin burst into the cafe and marched straight over to me. Mom, if Dad is so desperate for a divorce, just give it to him. That way he can't blame us for holding him back. He's almost 70 and thinks he's some kind of trendy teenager. Just let him go. I was surprised by Kevin's words, but on second thought, it made sense. He had inherited Catherine's cold, transactional view of the world. My sacrifices were just what was expected. Fine. I had nothing more to say. The kids are grown. We need to divide our assets. I'll have a lawyer contact you to sort things out. Catherine looked like she was about to have a stroke. She slammed her hand on the table. You've been on your own for a few days, and suddenly you've grown a spine? You want a divorce? Fine. We'll see about that. She stormed out in a huff. I wasn't bothered. It was just a piece of paper. What was the big deal? As long as she agreed to it. I immediately contacted a lawyer. I had to pause my woodworking tutorials for a while. My followers started asking what was wrong. I posted a brief update saying I was dealing with some family matters, but that once they were resolved, I'd be back to posting regularly. Some users tried to pry. Hey, from the background of your videos, it looks like you're in a condo. At your age, shouldn't you be enjoying your grandkids instead of living alone? Leave the man's private life alone. There's no law that says seniors have to be babysitters for their families. Everyone has the right to live their own life. I just smiled at the comments and didn't say anything more about my family. I didn't want to air my dirty laundry online. My woodworking tutorials were becoming incredibly popular. They were clear, easy to follow, and progressed from simple to complex. Even intricate patterns became manageable with my instruction. More and more people joined, and younger users often gave me clever ideas for new projects. I wasn't just carving traditional folk art anymore. I was doing characters from movies and TV shows, creating custom pieces based on requests. Soon, I had a small reputation in the online crafting community. People started calling me the Carving Grandpa. 3 months after leaving home, I hit 100,000 followers, and Catherine and I finally signed the divorce papers. The moment I held that decree, I felt a massive weight lift off my shoulders. For all her years as an engineer, her salary was what it was. My 50 years of running the household counted for half of our assets. I got one of our properties and a few $100,000. I didn't ask for anything else. 6, and just like that, I was the sole official owner of my little condo. I rented out the other house, and my days became quiet and peaceful. I no longer had to wake up at the crack of dawn to make a specific breakfast for a picky woman. I no longer had to scramble to put together a full dinner with all the fixings when my son and his family dropped by unannounced. Everything was on my terms. In that moment, I felt truly free. Life was beautiful. As if to spite me, Catherine actually moved in with Arthur. My son, Kevin, would occasionally post videos on Facebook. In them, Arthur would be playing the piano while Catherine sang. They looked so happy. I knew Catherine loved to sing. When we were young, she was always the first to perform at company parties. And there was Arthur, accompanying her on the piano, the two of them sharing a knowing smile. Anyone who didn't know better would think they'd been a loving couple for decades. Well, in a way, they had been. They'd been carrying on their emotional affair for decades. Of course, they had chemistry. Me, on the other hand, all I knew was groceries and chores. I didn't say a word, just blocked them all. Occasionally, I'd have Jessica and Mark over to my condo for dinner. Seeing how well I was doing on my own, they were both very supportive of my new life. They didn't say much, just told me to take care of myself, and even installed a security camera in my place, just in case. I accepted their kindness. Mark had actually changed a lot after a few stern talks from me. Plus, Jessica had a job of her own now, and their relationship was much more balanced. People often take their parents' sacrifices for granted. They assume it's their duty. Housework is their job. Raising grandkids is their job. But who made those rules? A strong family requires effort from both partners. When only one person is giving, it's not a partnership, it's exploitation. Like the kids say these days, a worker is just a cog in the machine. Well, we were the cogs in the family machine. At least a worker can quit. Could we? My life was full and wonderful. Catherine, on the other hand, had her honeymoon period with Arthur, but it didn't last long. 3 months later, I got a call from Kevin. He was in a panic. Catherine had fallen, and he wanted me to come to the hospital. As it happened, I had just received a call from an event organizer inviting me to Washington, D.C. to participate in a national folk art festival. I was already on the train. When I got his call, I frowned. You take her to the hospital. She's your mother. You should be taking care of her. I can't make it. He was shocked. Dad, what are you saying? I'm serious. You go take care of her. I'm on a train headed out of state. I can't come back. He sounded completely bewildered. How can you be like this? You have to come back. Do I need to remind you that I am divorced from your mother? She's your mother, Kevin. You have a legal and moral obligation to care for her. She is your responsibility. He was speechless. I hung up and sent a text to Jessica, asking her to check on things. No matter what, Catherine was their mother. It was their duty as brother and sister to care for her. I couldn't count on Kevin, so it was up to Jessica now. 7 when I arrived in D.C. I joined a group of people my age at the conference hall. We all looked at each other and smiled. The country was taking a greater interest in traditional arts and culture, and it was becoming popular with a younger generation. My use of TikTok to promote my craft was seen as a novel and effective approach. We all sat together, sharing ideas and stories. I never imagined there were so many people out there who shared my passion. I taught them how to use short-form video to promote their work, explaining that we had to reach young people on their own terms. That was the only way to ensure our traditional crafts would be passed down. That conference truly opened my eyes to a world I never knew existed. I stayed in D.C. for a week, posting updates about my experiences. Then, a comment from my son on one of my videos blew up my notifications. My mom is at home injured from a fall, and you're out there living it up. You're a real piece of work, Dad. Instantly, it struck a nerve with many of my followers. Excuse me? You're a grown man. You can't take care of your own mother? Does your dad have to do everything for you? She's not his responsibility anymore. She's yours. You know that caring for a parent means more than just throwing money at them, right? It means being there. This man is representing American folk art on a national stage, and you're trying to drag him down. I don't even have to say anything. The internet will handle this. His phone must have been blowing up. He had no idea so many people would come to my defense. He was getting roasted so badly, he couldn't even respond. So he called me, begging me to come back. I had a laugh. I was in fact on my way back. I'd just gotten off the plane. For the first time in my life, I'd splurged on a flight. When I answered, I asked him, "Isn't Arthur Vance living with your mother? Where is he? Don't even get me started. All he knows how to do is enjoy himself. When it comes to chores or actually caring for someone, he's useless. Please, Dad, just come home." I thought about it. 50 years of marriage. I should at least go see her. When I got to her house, she was lying in a recliner, a blanket over her knees. She looked haggard, her hair a mess. When she saw me, she quickly tried to smooth it down, still conscious of her appearance. "Frank, you're back. How did this happen? Where's Kevin?" "He went to work. He was going to hire a caregiver for me, but I don't trust strangers. I need you." Tears welled up in her eyes. I almost laughed. Even now, she actually thought I was coming back to this house. On what grounds? I wasn't her father. I just placed the container of food I'd brought on the table beside her. "I'm not coming back," I said firmly. "For old time's sake, I can bring you some meals. But that's it." Hearing that, she burst into tears, her nose running. I just shook my head and waited for her to finish eating. "If you need help, hire a home health aide to cook for you. I can't come here every day. And besides, if Arthur is with you, he needs to be responsible." At his name, she let out a long sigh. "I regret it, Frank. Arthur..." She trailed off, but I had no interest in hearing her gossip. I collected the empty containers and was about to leave when the front door opened. It was Arthur. A flicker of something, glee, maybe, crossed Arthur's face when he saw me, followed by a contemptuous sneer. He strode past me and dropped the takeout container on the table. "Already eaten? Must be so hard for you, coming back here to play nursemaid." He glanced at the insulated food carrier in my hand, his voice dripping with sarcasm. I didn't get angry. I just asked, "Arthur, are you two married?" It suddenly occurred to me that ever since I'd blocked Kevin, I had no idea what was going on. If they were married, I really shouldn't be here. Arthur froze, then sneered. "What's it to you?" "I'm just wondering, because if you're not married, what right do you have to stand here and give me grief?" His face went pale with fury. From her chair, Catherine spoke up. "Of course we're not." It was the first time she had ever taken my side, especially in front of Arthur. I smiled. "So you're not? Then you can keep your opinions to yourself." I shot him a glare and walked to the door with my container. "Catherine, tell your son that you are not my responsibility. From now on, don't call me unless it's a real emergency." Catherine's face flushed a deep red, but she couldn't say a word. As I left, I could hear Arthur's angry shouts and the start of a heated argument behind me. I called Kevin and told him to go home and handle it himself. He made his bed, now he could lie in it. I couldn't be bothered with the rest of it. After that, Arthur and Catherine fought constantly. Before our divorce, Arthur had started a TikTok account. At first, it was just clips of his charmed life. Then, it was cutesy videos with Catherine. Now, it was just him complaining about how life was a mess. See, it made me laugh. This was the man she had dreamed about for 50 years, the man she betrayed me for. Now that she finally had him, it was a disaster. Some people are only beautiful from a distance. Once you shatter the illusion, there's nothing left but broken glass. I didn't engage. It was her problem. But I never expected things to escalate the way they did. During a massive fight, Arthur completely lost it and slapped her hard. Catherine, old and still recovering, fell to the ground. The fall triggered a stroke. Kevin walked in right at that moment, with Jessica right behind him. Seeing what happened, they flew at Arthur, scratching his face to ribbons. The three of them got into a huge brawl. Arthur, of course, was no match for them. So he did what cowards do. He went on social media and posted about it, framing himself as the victim. Immediately, a swarm of online strangers, knowing nothing of the situation, descended on my children. They were called every name in the book for elder abuse. People demanded the police get involved and tag the local department. The police did intervene, and after an investigation, they issued a statement clarifying that Arthur and Catherine were not, in fact, married. Lying in her hospital bed, Catherine cried and begged to see me, pleaded for me to take her back. But I'd gotten used to breathing freely. Why would I ever go back to that prison? I didn't go. When Jessica told me about it, she was only asking for my opinion. "Dad, if you want to go, go. If you don't, don't." Mom is one of those people who only appreciate what they've lost. She doesn't deserve your sympathy. As for Arthur, we have security camera footage. He hit her first. We were just defending her. Meanwhile, some internet sleuths connected the dots, saw Kevin's old comment on my profile, and realized we were all one family. They remember my post about handling family matters and guessed that I had gotten a divorce. I confirmed it all. I laid out the entire story from beginning to end. Arthur never imagined that at his age, his carefully crafted persona as a charming gentleman would be torn apart and exposed online. He was branded for what he was, a manipulative user. This time, he didn't have Catherine to run PR for him. No one played the victim with him. His image completely collapsed. Arthur had a background in community theater and was a decent dancer. After retiring, he'd become an instructor, leading senior groups in local dance competitions and gaining some local fame. But now, with his reputation in tatters, he was fired. His neighbors pointed and whispered when he walked down the street. He had counted on Catherine's reputation to shield him, but he never expected I'd be so ruthless as to rip the mask right off his face. He was the one who threw his dignity away. I wasn't going to pick it up for him. After Catherine was discharged, Jessica and Kevin hired a full-time caregiver for her. They threw Arthur out and sued him for medical expenses totaling $200,000. Where's he going to get that kind of money? His small pension went almost entirely to his wardrobe. Since getting with Catherine, he'd been living off her savings. When Jessica found that out, she was even more furious and demanded he pay back every cent. Now, everyone was watching his downfall. Meanwhile, I was taking on apprentices. My reputation as the carving grandpa was no joke. After the D.C. festival, my fame grew, and people came from all over to learn from me. I set up a small booth at the local night market, selling my work in person while also live streaming my carving process. Supporting myself was no longer a problem. Catherine watched my live streams, saw me confidently talking to my audience, and was overwhelmed with regret. She sent messages apologizing, but I ignored them. How many 50 years does a person get in one lifetime? She wasted 50 years of mine, treating me with cold indifference while saving all her warmth for another man. I'm a petty man. Forgiveness was impossible. After being sued by my children, Arthur quickly sold his assets, paid back the money he owed Catherine, and coughed up the $200,000. Then he skipped town. I heard he was divorced and never remarried, just bounced from one lonely widow to the next. He thought he'd hit the jackpot with Catherine, but he ended up with nothing. I never showed the world the wedding photo. Some things, even now, should stay private. Catherine was awful, but my children still have to live in this world. Kevin finally understood what had happened. He came to me, apologizing profusely. I didn't engage. The past was the past. I had to look forward. It's not that I'm holding a grudge. I just have no interest in dealing with a fool who sides with whoever is feeding him at the moment. I couldn't forgive the hurt he caused me, so I told him not to visit. I see my grandchildren occasionally, but that's as much as I can offer. My life now is peaceful. I never thought at this age I could find my dreams and actually make them a reality. Jessica often says I don't seem like myself anymore, that I look 10 years younger. I just smile and touch my face. A good mood is the best anti-aging cream. I'm happy, and everything else falls into place. It's nothing like before, trapped in that house, dutifully doing chores and getting not an ounce of affection from Catherine. Back then, I used to wonder how I had become so numb, waking up every day to a monotonous cycle of cooking and cleaning for a family that didn't see me. But now it's different. I wake up thinking about what I want to carve today, what new techniques I want to teach my followers, which orders I need to ship out. My days are packed, but they are full of purpose. This is my new life. I have no regrets about leaving that suffocating house, and no regrets about leaving Catherine. After all, the best thing a person can do is live for themselves. Catherine passed away a year later. Her health had been declining and weighed down by illness and depression. She just couldn't hold on. After she was gone, Kevin knelt before me and begged for my forgiveness. I just told him and Jessica to sell the remaining property and split the money. I didn't want any of it. In the end, money is just stuff. I've taken what was mine. Our father-son relationship is what it is. I don't expect him to have some grand epiphany. With family, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you let it go. At my age, I don't ask for much. But I will never, ever compromise on my own happiness again.